99 out of 100 men over 50 will never do this again. Not because they can't, because no one ever told them it still mattered, and their body quietly forgot it was ever an option. The wait before your first step out of a chair, the knees getting out of the car, the hips welded shut in the first hour of the morning. You've been told that's age. The slow surrender everyone warns you about after 50. It isn't. It's something far simpler and far more reversible. There is a single position, one your body knew before it knew how to walk, that pushes fluid back into stiff, dry joints. Lower into it before bed, and your knees, hips, and ankles bathe themselves in lubrication through the night. You wake up looser, not stretched, lubricated from the inside. The move is a squat, not the gym kind, the deep, resting kind your grandparents dropped into without a second thought. And the reason it works has a name almost no doctor will say to your face. Before I show you the position, 3 things to hold on to. Each one is a place people get this wrong. First, there's a reason your joints are stiffest in the morning and worst after you've been sitting. It isn't age. It's a physical property of the fluid itself, and I'll name it in 90 seconds. Second, one detail decides whether this move reloads the joint or does absolutely nothing. Get it wrong, and you're just squatting. Third, there's a single window in your day when this works twice as well. Miss it, and you throw the overnight effect away. That one comes last. Stay with me for it. Here's what they sell you instead. Capsules, glucosamine, chondroitin, collagen powders, bought by the millions on evidence that stays thin no matter what the bottle promises. Foam rollers, stretch routines off the internet, and nearly everyone makes the same mistake. They work the muscle around the joint. They chase the tightness on the outside. But the stiffness you feel at 6 in the morning was never in the muscle. It's inside the joint, in the fluid that fills it, and in the living tissue that fluid is meant to feed. You can't stretch into that sealed space, or swallow a capsule and steer it there. The one thing that reaches inside a joint is the movement of the joint itself. And that's the one thing no one can bottle and sell back to you. So they don't mention it. The fix isn't a product, it's a posture, and it costs nothing. The fluid inside every joint is called synovial fluid, and it behaves unlike almost anything else in your body. The property has a name most people have never heard: Thixotropy. Here's what it means. Hold a joint still, and the fluid thickens. It turns slowly toward a gel. Move the joint, and it thins straight back into a slick, living lubricant. It's the same fluid the whole time, thick when you're still, thin when you move. That gel is what you feel in the first steps out of bed. It's what stiffens you after a long drive or an evening on the couch. Not damage, not decay. Thickened fluid, sitting still, waiting to be moved. Now the part you were never told, and it's the part that matters most. The cartilage capping the ends of your bones has no blood supply. None. It cannot feed itself. It stays alive on one thing only: synovial fluid pressed in and out of it as the joint bends under load. Picture a sponge. Press it, and the old, spent fluid squeezes out. Release it, and fresh fluid soaks back in, carrying oxygen and nutrients with it. Movement is the pump. Bending under load is the squeeze that drives it. And here's the quiet tragedy of the modern body. Every hour you spend in a chair, the pump sits idle. The sponge is never squeezed. The cartilage goes dry and starved. We didn't wear our joints out. We stopped feeding them. So the question gets simple. What single position pumps the most fluid through the most joints in one shape? The deep squat. When you drop into a full heels-down squat, you fold the ankle, the knee, and the hip all the way to the end of their range, at the same time, under the weight of your own body. That's the squeeze the cartilage has been waiting for, at 3 major joints at once. Only the deep squat takes every lower joint to its fullest fold and holds it there. It isn't exercise, it's the pump, in its oldest and most complete form. Quick one before the position itself. If this is already reaching you, subscribe. It's the single signal that tells the algorithm to carry this to the men who need it and were never told it existed. And it is old. Older than any gym, any clinic, any chair. For nearly all of human history, this was simply how people rested. There was no furniture to fall into. You lowered into a squat to cook, to eat, to wait, to talk. Across much of Asia, India, Japan, the villages of China, hundreds of millions still live this way, dropping to the floor and rising from it 100 times a day into their 70s and 80s, with hips and knees that never seize the way ours do. The yogis kept the position and gave it a name, Malasana, the garland pose. They never heard the word Thixotropy. They didn't need to. They watched, across generations, that the body which kept squatting stayed supple, and the body which gave it up grew stiff and closed. Then came the chair, barely a century old in the shape we know it, and it quietly removed the deepest fold your legs were ever built to make. We are the first people to live our whole lives above the floor, and we are the stiffest generation that has ever walked the earth. Now the detail that decides everything. The second thing I told you to hold on to. The pump only fires at depth, and it needs you to stay there. A quick bob halfway down does nothing. The joint never reaches the fold. The sponge never compresses. You have to reach the bottom, heels flat, and hold long enough for the fluid to move through the joint. Time in the position is what counts. And if you can't get down there yet, that's information, not failure. Most men can't at first. Hold the door frame or a kitchen counter and let it carry some of your weight. Roll a towel under your heels if they lift. Come down only as far as your body allows today, and let it deepen across the weeks. Never force through a sharp, hot pain. That's a different signal, and you listen to it. And if you've had a joint replaced, a recent injury, or a knee that buckles, clear this with your doctor first. This is patience, not punishment. Here is the position. Feet about shoulder width apart, toes turned slightly out. Bend the knees and lower your hips straight down. Not backward, the way you'd reach for a chair, but down, toward the floor between your feet. Keep the heels flat and rooted. Let the spine stay long and the chest open. Sink until you're resting in the bottom of the position, and let your breath go slow and low. Then hold. 30 seconds the first night, if that's all you have. Build toward 2 minutes, then 3, even 5 over a few weeks, broken into shorter holds if you need them. You're not chasing reps. You're logging time in the shape. And now the third thing, the timing. Do this in the evening, in the last hour before bed. That's the window. You're about to spend the whole night completely still. The longest unbroken stretch your fluid ever gets to thicken and gel. Move it, thin it, and coat the cartilage right before that stillness begins, and the joint stays bathed and supple through the night, instead of setting like cement by the time you wake. That's why it works overnight. Many who do it feel the difference in the very first morning. Here's what unfolds. The first few nights, the bottom will feel blocked. The joints will protest. The heels will want to lift. That resistance is the gel and 40 years of sitting, arguing back. Don't fight it. Just visit the edge of it and breathe. Within a week or two, the descent softens. You sink lower with less of a fight, and the first stiff minutes of your morning start to shrink. By 30 days, the position stops being an effort and quietly becomes a place your body owns again, the way it did decades ago, before the chairs took it. The stiffness that used to meet you at the edge of the bed simply has less to say. You didn't fight your age. You fed the joint the one thing it had been starving for. So tell me, how old are you? And how long can you hold the bottom of that squat right now? Drop both numbers in the comments. I read every one, and that number today is your starting line. And if this reached you, subscribe. There's more here the industry would rather you never went looking for.